Alright, so our goal for today is to figure out, did LeBron James choke in the playoffs? Or at least come up with an opinion. Alright? A lot of us may have opinions. You may watch like TNT, like we have Charles Barkley and people, or you may watch SportsCenter, or ESPN, or listen to talk show radio. Everyone has an opinion. Alright? Their opinions are not always necessarily based on fact. It's their opinion. They're athletes who perform or didn't play that talk about stuff just to make money. Alright? So, first things first, our initial analysis, if I just put two numbers up here, okay, I would be willing to bet that a lot of us can draw some conclusions. Alright? And that first thing is that LeBron James, in the regular season of 2008, he shot 31.5%. Alright, so regular season, LeBron James shot 31.5% on 3-point field goals. Okay? Now, in the postseason, so we all know that is the playoffs. LeBron James shot, and I want to make sure I get this right. I believe it was 25.7%. All right. So if you had to go about making a hypothesis here or drawing a conclusion just based on that, his shooting percentage is worse in the playoffs in this instance. All right, he shot worse than he did in the regular season. But the two things that we want to try and come up with a conclusion for is, did he choke, and why was his performance more poor than what it was in the regular season? Can we come up with a conclusion to both of those? Does anyone think we can figure out why his performance is worse? This right here isn't 100% and like crucial. You need to write down. This is not. But okay, so we can agree here though that his shooting percentage was worse in the postseason, correct? So our goal is we want to figure out, does that mean that his ability went down? Okay, so his ability based off the preseason is 31.5%, 3-pointers made. Does this mean that his ability in the postseason went down? All right, so how do we figure this out? Well, we're going to look at this real quick. Okay, so this, you're going to want to write down what's in red, and yeah, it's okay. So this is a reddish orange color. So yeah. Alright, so focus up here. I got a question for you guys now. Alright, so first things first. It says that we can investigate the variability in performance because of random chance by conducting a simulation. Okay, so what does this mean? We can investigate the change in his performance. Variability means that his performance is changing over time. All right, we need this to be a little bit bigger. Yes. Yes. So, we can investigate the way someone's performance changes over time because of random chance by conducting a simulation. All right. Are we clear on what a simulation means? What I mean by that? Okay, so a simulation means that we're going to take the fact that we know that his performance is 31.5%, and we're going to sort of we're going to use the computer to like run a whole bunch of performances at one time. All right. How many of you guys have ever played a video game where you simulate the video game, where it real quickly it goes through, like you're simulating a football game, it starts running all the plays real quickly for you, and it's all random. All right. So how could we simulate this? All right. So thinking back, my first question is, could we flip a coin like we did with Sue Bird? All right. If you don't remember what we talked about with Sue Bird, we said on Thursday, Sue Bird, this basketball player, she is a 50% free throw shooter. Okay. And what we said was, okay, we can simulate this by flipping a coin. Okay. Because the percentage of getting a heads and a tails on a coin is what? 50% heads, 50% tails, so it's 50-50. Just like Sue Bird's shooting percentage. So we can flip it, and heads can be makes, tails can be misses. Can we do the same thing for LeBron James? Why not? Because LeBron James' ability is not 50%. We can't flip a coin. So if I ask Quayla if she can Ty Quayla, my fault. If she can flip this coin and figure out and simulate LeBron James' 3-point shooting percentage, her answer would be, I can't do that, Mrs. Schoolfall, because LeBron James doesn't shoot 50%. His ability that we're given is 31.5%. All right. So.
Yeah, it was fun. Okay,
So, it would be good to write down how we simulate this for this question, because this is going to actually help learn the homework. So our question is, how can we actually simulate LeBron James' 3-point shooting percentage? All right. How many of you guys have heard of a spinner? Like, how many of you guys played a game where you spin something and tells you like how many spaces it is or whatnot? Okay, probably most of you. If not, well, you probably haven't, you just don't remember. All right. So if LeBron James shoots 31.5%, all right, do any of us have any ideas of how we could create a spinner that would allow us to spin it and still simulate LeBron James' shooting percentage? Huh? Say it, wait, what do you say? And another number on that. And that other number, how did you get that? What's the 35 represent? Of what? So it's his percentage that he makes. Now, his percentage that he makes is 31.5. So what Michael is saying is that we can create a spinner that has 31.5% made up of for its made shot. So 31.5% of the spinner is made shots, and 68.5% of its shots are missed shots. All right. So how can we simulate this? Well, we can create a spinner where 31.5%. All right, with 31.5% of the circle is mates. So we can create a spinner with 31.5% of the circle is mates and 68.5 is misses. Now, one important thing to notice here is that the proportions for makes and misses is actually 31.5 and 68.5. You could not do this, okay? This right here would not work where you created a circle and you had said this is 31.5 and this is 68.5. Because this is not proportional to what our percentages are. Okay? So what we want to look at here is this. LeBron James shot 70 3-pointers in the postseason. So to simulate this, what we would need to do is we would need to shoot, or we would need to spin this 70 times. Okay? Huh? That's a good question. Do we have time to spin that 70 times?
Yeah.
Okay, so 1, no. 2, would we have to spin it 70 times or a lot more than 70 times? Why would it need to be a lot more? Okay, yeah, so we're not necessarily looking for his ability, but we want to see if his ability decreased. And in order to see if his ability decreased, we need to look at a large amount of numbers. All right, a large amount of simulations, thinking about the law of large numbers. So not only do we need to spin it 70 times to simulate one postseason, we need to look at a bunch of postseasons, like 100 postseasons. So 100 postseasons with 70 shots, that's 7,000 shots. Charlene, do you have time to spin this 70,000 times? All right. So, I didn't even 70,000, that's 7,000. Still, Charlene doesn't feel like wasting her time spinning this 7,000 times. So, here's the nice thing. You guys are going to see one way to do this using technology today. All right. You're also going to learn on Thursday how to use calculators to do all this simulation real quickly. Okay, so I will say, yes, on your homework, it's going to ask you how would you create this spinner for another example. All right, so you would need to explain how do we simulate this by breaking up the circle and draw a circle and explain what you would do. Like in this case, we'd have to spin this spinner 70 times. All right. So what we're going to do is this. I'm going to show you guys a way to simulate this. And what happens, what's really nice about computers is it simulates this, what would take us several days probably. It takes the computer 5 seconds. All right, so what we're going to look at, we're going to see, hopefully the internet's working good. This is cool. So I'm going to sit right here next to our student that we have. Alert. All right. Well, we'll see about that. So, what we're going to do, this website, all right, it is sort of like the companion to this book. You guys are going to get this website link on Thursday. So what we're going to look at is this. The way we would simulate one postseason is we would need it. First of all, we need to know what his percentage is. LeBron James' percentage in the regular season, his ability was what? 31.5. Thank you. So the first thing that you need to know how to do is write 31.5% as a decimal. All right? And the way you do that is you write it as 0.315. So, enter the athlete's ability. Enter LeBron James' ability is 0.315. Not 0. So 0.315. All right? So, how many attempts did LeBron James have in one postseason? That's going to be much more. This is going to be much more. This is going to be much more helpful for you guys if you guys actually participate in answering the questions. I know it's hot in here, okay, and it makes you tired. But I'll be honest with you, I'm just as hot and just as tired as you guys, and I am bringing more energy than all of you. All right. So, how many attempts, how many three-pointers does LeBron James have in the postseason? Now remember, you said it was 70. He shot 70 three-pointers in the postseason. So we put in how many shots. And what this is going to do is it's going to very quickly simulate one postseason. It's going to figure out what percentage the shooting percentage was in one postseason. So we do that. Simulate one performance. In this postseason that we just simulated, LeBron James shot 41.4%. He made 29 of 70 three-pointers. Is 41.4% higher than what he shot in the playoffs actually? Is it higher than his actual, is it higher than what his ability is supposedly? Yes. Okay, his ability is 31.5%. He shot 41%. We can simulate it again. This time, he shot 21%. Okay? He only made 15 of his shots. Is 21% lower than 25%? Yes. Is it lower than his ability? Yes. We can keep simulating this. However, even doing this 100 times is going to take a while. That's them writing it all down. So what we can do is we can simulate 100. Just let it sit there. Bring your stuff and let it sit there. That's why you don't bring. That's why you don't do that. We just have roaches in there. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to simulate 100 postseasons. All right. My question is this. Okay. Is 100 postseasons, is that a large number? Yes. Think about it in terms of an athlete. Is an athlete ever going to play in 100 postseasons? No. If they died first and then played as a ghost, yes. All right. Maybe like sixth man or something, but that's not going to happen. All right. LeBron James will never play in 100 postseasons. That means that he'll still be playing when he's 130 years old. Okay, that doesn't make sense. He would be dead. Okay, so with 100 performances is a lot of performances. Now here's my next question. It says get the number of successes, or do you want the percent? We're graphing stuff. Do you want the numbers or the percent? So we've gotten everything since Thursday. So where we left off is when we were creating a graph, which we are about to do using the computer. We don't want numbers. We want stuff listed as percentages. So we would choose proportions here. All right. Now what it's going to do is it's going to quickly simulate 100 postseasons here, which is about 7,000 shots. So it's going to simulate. And there is LeBron James' shot percentages on three-pointers for 100 postseasons. So I'm going to take this and bring it over here so we can talk about it. Alright, so here is LeBron James' shots for the next 100 years of his life. In the postseason, because we assume that he's going to make the postseason for the next 100 times. Alright? So if you have the homework that you guys have, or should have, you will see graphs like this. This is called a dot plot. Alright? You may have seen stuff like this before. You may not have seen stuff like this before. So, things that we want to look at this. Okay, first of all, what number's in the middle of this dot plot?
0.5.
Well, first, let's make sure these are percentages. It's just written as decimals. So it's 0.314, that's 31.4%. But yes, Michael, that's what you said. All right, so Michael, and then, so this question is for Michael, but also for anyone else that feels that they can answer. All right. Why do we think 31.4, which is really, really close to 31.5, is in the middle of this graph? That's close to his ability. Good. All right. So that makes sense. All right. His ability is going in a dot plot will be in the middle. So that's something that we notice. Okay. What you may want to write down. Given ability shows up in middle of dot plot. Again, that's something that you're going to want to know. One, to help you in your homework. Two, to make sure that you understand how to read these graphs. Okay? So right now, you're not worrying about what the definition of the dot plot is right now. What we want to know is, what we need to understand is, his given ability is going to show up in or around the middle of the dot plot. All right? 31.5 is, it's right in there somewhere. Okay? So it's right there in the middle. What we also want to know is most of his performances are going to occur in the middle. Okay? Most of his performances will occur in the middle. This goes for any athlete. Okay? Anything. Most of the performances will occur in the middle because when you get a large number, there are more and more of his performances that tend to be close to visibility. Okay? So, one thing one might say, most of his performances will be close to the middle. And that's because of the law of large numbers. All right? Now, let me ask you guys a question here. What is his lowest shooting percentage that he had in these postseasons? 2%. Not 2%. 20. Okay? Remember, when you're looking at these, that's says 0.2, so 0.2 as a percentage is move that over, you get 20%. Okay? So, first things first, this is not exactly 20%. If this is 20%, it'd be right over that. So we can make an estimate, that'd be, I don't know, we can say 15. Alright? And actually, if you really want to know, we can go back and check and see that it was actually 18.6%. Okay? So, here's what you need to know about the dot plot. His lowest, yes. Especially but not it. Okay? So, this dot right here is 18.4%. Okay? The dot that's furthest to the left is his lowest percentage. Okay? Dot furthest to left is lowest performance. Okay? Now, who can guess what the dot furthest to the right are? His highest percentage. And could we take a guess as to what that is, man? No. Okay, this is 42.9. There's two dots over here that are further to the right. The only way we can actually know what those are is if we were to actually go back and look at the simulation. So 44.3. Okay? So this is 44.3%. And again, we said that the dots furthest to the right are going to be your highest percentage. All right, so dots furthest to the right are highest performances. Okay. So, looking at this, the only other thing that you guys need to know for knowing how to read this is what each one of these dots mean. Okay? So in this instance, each one of these dots represents 70 shots. Each one of these dots represents one postseason. Okay? One postseason. Okay? So, how many times, so Tammy, maybe you can help us with this one. How many times did LeBron James shoot 28.6% in the playoffs? 28.6. How many times, looking at that graph, is it non?
What's that number right there? I ain't got my
28.6 is right here.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, okay, so the Mon and Michael, how you guys getting that? Okay, what you did? You got 9? Come you're saying 8? Okay, so how did you guys get that? That's my first question. Correct. So let's just go count them because it can be kind of hard to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So LeBron James shot. So and it's okay, you're about 10 feet closer to that. So LeBron James shot 28.6% of the 28.6% for 3-pointers 9 total times in those 100 seasons, those 100 postseasons. Okay? No, so he made 28.6% of his shots, his 3-point shots, 9 times. So that means in 9 postseasons, or in 100 postseasons, he shot that percentage 9 times. Okay? So what I have here is the definition of what a dot plot is. If you understand how to read this right now, you don't necessarily need to write it all. But what it says is the dot plot. It shows the distribution of a numerical variable. Okay, so it is showing the numerical distribution of those 100 postseasons. The horizontal axis shows the possible outcomes of the variable, and the number of dots above each outcome shows how often that outcome occurred. Okay, so how many times did you shoot 37.1%? 1 time out of 100. How many times did you shoot 40%? 3 times out of 100. Okay, so here's my question. All right, I want you guys to, by a show of hands, raise your hand if you think that raise your hand if you think we have enough evidence to say that LeBron James, his ability went down, it decreased in the postseason. Raise your hand if you think that we could mathematically say that his ability decreased. Raise your hand if you don't know. Okay, so here's what we want to do. We want to see if we can mathematically say that there is convincing evidence that LeBron James' ability either went down or did not go down. All right? So we want to try to rule out random chance. Now this simulation is all random. The simulation is all random. It's done randomly on the computer. Okay? So here's, I'm going to draw a line, and I want you guys to tell me if it, yes. My question is essentially, do we have enough convincing evidence, mathematically, looking at this graph, that we can say LeBron James's ability went down? It decreased from 31.5%. All right? And that, he shot 25.7%. So I'm going to draw one line up here. And I want you guys to see if you can figure out an argument. All right, I draw that line up there. How many, let me ask you guys this question. How many times did LeBron James shoot 25.7%? I think it's 6. So he shot, that's fine, guys. Kind of hard to count. Yeah. All right, so this is 6. How many times is this? 6. This is 5. This is 1. So 6, 6, 5, 1. If I add those up, I'm going to get 18. All right. So what that's saying is 18 times out of 100 postseasons where LeBron James shot 25.7% or lower. 18 times. That's almost 20%. That's almost 1/5. All right. So what we can say here is that it is not possible to rule out random chance as an explanation for his poor performance. All right. More importantly, we don't have convincing evidence that LeBron's ability to shoot three-pointers is lower in the playoffs. All right. What we can say is that his performance was lower. All right. So if I was writing down notes, I would write down that. All right. Yeah, I would write that down.
No, I didn't have to write down that plot.
It's beneficial for you to have it there.
Okay. I'll go say no.
All right. So what we want to understand.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, so what we want to do, all right, so the goal here, yeah, you want that down here? Yeah. Maybe not. It's not working. No, it's not going to work. No. All right. All right, so what you do here, all right, is the reason that we're saying that, okay, his ability did not decrease is because there are a decent number of times, all right, that are at a decent number of performances that are at 25.7% or below, all right? Randomly, this is all done random, and 100 times, he actually shoots 25.7% 6 times. That didn't just happen one time. It happened 6 times, right? And it happened. It is something that actually could happen. We expect. Okay? This simulation shows us what we expect would happen. we expect that he is going to at some point in time shoot 25.7%. We expect that he's going to at some point shoot whatever this is, about 21%. Okay? We expect that at some point in time he's going to shoot 40%. Alright? So here's a question for you. Someone tell me, alright, actually I want you guys to think about this 15 seconds. I want you each to think of a number that would be a shooting percentage that we would not expect him to shoot. Based on this graph, what would be a number that we would not expect him to shoot? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to think about a number. I'm going to call on someone to tell me a number. Alright, so don't shout any numbers out. 5 seconds to think of a number. And I'm telling you, you can get the answer from up here. The answer, you can get an answer up here. There's more than one right answer. Okay, so that's, I don't know why this percent. Alright, so I want you to tell me a percent that we would not expect a shooting percentage that we would expect him not to be able to get. Alright, based on this graph. So I'm gonna raise your hand. Okay, first of all, let me just start this off. If you give me an answer and it's not right, I'm going to ask you a question to think about. I'm not trying to put you on blast or anything. I just want you and the class to think about why your answer might not be right. Okay? So, is there anyone that would like to start off with the bidding of a shooting percentage that we don't expect them to get? Caleb. Okay. So, first of all, why did you choose 22? Okay, so Caleb said 22.9 because there's no dots above it. But let me ask you this. Would it be, so I'm going to put this line here, would it be weird if he got 22.9? No, because, he got lower than 22.9, and he got higher than 22.9. The 22.9 is in between shooting percentages you got, but it wouldn't be weird it wouldn't be out of ordinary if you got 22.9. Ime, did you have one? 10%. Why do you say 10%? He didn't get anything lower than 18%. So according to this simulation, if he got 10%, that'd be weird. That would be convincing. That would be a number that would be convincing evidence that showed up. All right. If I asked you, would a 10% shooting percentage mean that his ability decreased? You could say yes, because that never shows up in 100 random samples. 10% never showed up. Another one, Charlene, 50%. Okay, so Charlene says 50%. That's like the complete opposite direction of Ime. Charlene wanted to say 50%. LeBron James didn't get, in these 100 samples, didn't get anything higher than 44.5%. Yeah. Okay, so that's a good question. So why not talk about that in just a second? What Jamal said, are we just going off of this simulation? Yes. But, come on. If we continue to simulate this, if we simulated it 100 times again, what we'll notice is that the simulations, they may be a little bit different at the end, but it's going to look pretty similar. And just to show you, okay, what we'll do is we will simulate it again. We'll see what we get. Okay, so we'll do this. We'll reset it. We'll hit 100 there. All right, we'll do it again. Add more trials, and what you'll notice is, okay, in this case, the lowest one was what? 14.3 is over here. So about 44.3. So if we look at this again, his highest percentage again was what? 44.3. His lowest percentage is a little bit different. But when he made 10% still be weird, yeah. That'd still be a reason for us to say, okay, his ability might decrease. All right. Okay, so, well, here's the thing. We can look at, okay, now, would it be, now here's my question. According to this, would we have significant evidence to say that 25.7% was a drop in his ability? Why? Okay, so why would we not have significant evidence? Well, did he shoot 25.7% quite a bit? Did he shoot less than 25.7 quite a bit? So if we look at this, what we notice is I can count the number of dots less than or equal to, and we can put 0.257, all right? Then I'm going to hit count. So LeBron James, 26 out of 100 times, shot 25.7% or less. That's 25% of the time. That's a quarter of the time. So 25% of the time, he shoots 25.7% or less. That's a pretty big number of times to shoot 20. That's not random. Okay. That's not random that he's shooting 25.7% or less. That happened too many times for it to be random. Does that make sense? So let's look at one more. We're gonna add 100 more draws. I'm gonna add a few more. Okay.
Yeah.
1,000 there. All right. So what I'm gonna do here, 100 times. That's a lot. That's 7,000 shots. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna simulate 1,000 postseasons. Okay, no one's ever gonna play 1,000 postseasons. That'd be crazy.
Mr. Stupal, do you want me to take out the 20.25.7?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button.
Type in .315. Type in 70.
Sorry about that.
And then type in
1,000.
1,000. Then we're all good. So I'm gonna hit add more trials. So here, okay, where did the dots go? Oh, I messed up one thing. I want to do proportions and add 1,000. All right. So the question was this: where did the dots go? Here's where the dots went. There's 2,000 dots here. It just happened so many times that the dots are so close together it looks like lines. Okay. So what we can look at here is, first of all, we can see that his lowest percentage ever shot in 2,000 postseasons. From 2,000 postseasons, his lowest percentage ever shot was 15.7%. Email. Would her 10% still be random? If he shoots 10%, we can say, yep, his ability dropped. Okay? Look at this. His highest is 48.6. So would Charlene's 50% still be an increase in ability? Yes, because in 2,000 times, he never shot 50%. That would be an increase in his ability. Is that making sense? So how do you find a number where his ability decreased or increased, where you have significant evidence to back that up? You look at the lowest number and you pick a number that's lower than that. To find his ability where it might increase, you find a number that's higher than the simulated number. So what I want to do to wrap this up is this. All right, so we talked about this. What kind of ability would prove that, or be convincing evidence that LeBron's ability has decreased? It's going to be something lower than his lowest percentage in the simulation. All right, so I want to talk about this. And not this. You're going to want to write this all the way down here at the bottom when I pull it up. Okay, so what I want you guys to be careful with, especially Demond, because I know he likes to draw conclusions real fast. All right? Yeah, I want to get your attention. All right? Is this. Okay? Number one. All right? We've talked about this Suppose LeBron only made 15% of his three-point attempts during the playoffs. Could we conclude that his ability decreased during the playoffs? The answer would be no, based on the simulations we did. Because he shot that 15%, that 2,000 simulations. All right? Here's my other question. What causes the decrease in ability? Injuries? What else? Old age. I think we can all agree Michael Jordan was not as good when he played for the Washington Wizards compared to when he played for the Chicago Bulls. Anything else? Pressure. Jamal seems to know all about this. It looks like Jamal should be going into media and broadcasting. Anything else that people could think of that could be something that could lead to a decrease in ability? Who? Nerves. Maybe you're always shooting in the end of the game. All right. Here's the thing. Okay. And you want to write this down. It is almost always impossible to know why his, in this case LeBron, or anyone's ability has changed. That's why we have the media. Okay? Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, this white guy, all they do, no one knows his name. What is it? Except for Jamal. That's all about the media. He's going to be on TNT in a couple of years. Alright? All they do is talk. They don't base anything they say on math. Alright? If LeBron has a bad game, they try to BS the reason why. If he has a good game, they try to BS the reason why. They don't look at math. They don't talk. You might hear them talk about ability, but they're not really talking about ability. They're just talking the talk. All right. It is almost always impossible to know why someone's ability has changed. Now, can we make assumptions? Yes. We can make an assumption about them being injured or old, anything like that. All right.
Tyrone Carter, the attendance office. Tyrone Carter to the attendance office.
Okay. So, what you should write up here, okay, is definitely this right here. Okay. Having convincing evidence that an athlete's ability has changed doesn't prove that his ability has changed.
Like that?
Yes. Random chance can never be ruled out completely. Okay? I'm going to repeat that. You want to make sure you have that written down. Having convincing evidence that an athlete's ability has changed doesn't prove that his or her ability has changed. Random chance can never be ruled out completely. Okay? So what we're doing really is we're saying there is the possibility that if LeBron James shoots 10% in the postseason, there is a possibility that his ability went down. We cannot 100% say, yes, his ability went down. What we can say is we have convincing evidence that his ability might have gone down. Because there's still that possible chance that there'd be a random chance happen, and that random chance causes him to shoot that 10%. Okay? The next two, you don't necessarily need to write down, but I'm going to try and blow your mind with it. Okay? But they are important. The second thing that I have up there is, all right, and I need you guys to pay attention to this because it is kind of tricky to understand. Saying we don't have convincing evidence that LeBron's ability decreased. Okay, so if I say we don't have convincing evidence that LeBron's ability decreased, that is not the same as saying LeBron's ability has stayed the same. Okay? Just because we don't have convincing evidence doesn't mean that his ability hasn't decreased. So I'm going to give you guys a different non-sports related type of thing that can help explain this. Okay? How many of you guys know who O.J. Simpson is? How many of us know why O.J. Simpson is as famous as he is? He was a football player, but what did he get accused of doing? Killing his wife. So let me explain this in a way with that OJ case. Okay? What that says is we don't have convincing evidence that LeBron's ability decreased. So with OJ, we don't have convincing evidence that he killed his wife. All right? Is that the same as saying that OJ didn't kill his wife? That's saying that we didn't have enough evidence to prove that he killed his wife. That doesn't mean he didn't kill his wife, right? So you can look at that like in terms of court. You're only guilty in court if you can prove that the jury, if I can convince the jury that there's enough evidence to prove that you're guilty. All right? So it's kind of the same thing. Just because we don't have convincing evidence of LeBron being guilty of his ability decreasing doesn't mean his ability didn't actually decrease. It doesn't mean he's not guilty of his ability decreasing. Does that make sense? I tried to give an example earlier, but then they like made someone into a serial killer and it got a little weird. Alright? The other one, alright, could be due to random chance is not the same as saying was due to random chance. You guys all know what the word could means? It might be due to random chance. That's not the same as saying it was due to random chance. So if I say that LeBron's ability did not decrease because of random chance, that's not, or because it could be due to random chance, that's not the same as it was due to random chance. All right. So, good news is this. All right. One, those. Two, you don't get to do it at home. You do have homework though.